All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. I'm sitting here with a man that literally needs no introduction whatsoever at all for those of us in the Hebrew community that are familiar with his work. As a matter of fact, I have his work sitting right here on one of my bookshelves right here. This is Brother Hondo Solomon, who is the author of the Polygamist Papers. Brother Hondo, we stay in touch, and he was passing through Tennessee. And he gave me a call, and I said, my, bro. He wanted to come up, meet us, you know what I mean? And I just went ahead and said, brother, how about you come and just stay in my home for the night, brother? Relax, take it easy, eat a couple, eat some good meals and everything. And I tell you what, it's been an honor to have you in my house, my brother.
Well, it's an honor to be invited. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed it, so thank you.
All right, so what we're going to do, we'll go ahead and introduce yourself, brother, to the people out there. I've already done give my informal introduction, so you go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, well, I'm Hondo Solomon. I'm the author of the Polygamist Papers, like Pastor said. This was actually meant to be the 400-page book that's coming up, which is called The Family Crest, Polygamy as Economic Warfare. So this book, I was just trying to get something out there so that you all would have some information, some solid information that was scholarly in scope. But I left out a lot of the footnotes. I have some footnotes in here, but the upcoming book is going to have over 700 footnotes in it. And I have nearly 1,000 sources. Some of them I'm not necessarily going to quote. It's just there for reference purposes in the bibliography. But you all watch out for my book. It's probably going to be done most likely by the end of the summer. That's called The Family Crest, Polygamy as Economic Warfare. A dossier on family, rule, and government. So that it's got 2 subtitles. I want to make sure that people understand the whole scope of what we're dealing with. And now I want to make sure we elevate the discussion, because so far the discussion has been centered around, can the wives live together? And it's all about sex, and it's all these arguments and all this mythology even coming from the people who support polygamy. So my work is centered around making sure that the information presented is accurate.
Correct.
And it's dead on. Also, B, I want to make sure that we understand how to apply and how to practice polygamy in any context. So, Pastor, in other words, if you take on the principles that I'm dropping in the book, you should be able to take your family anywhere in the world. If you have to move because of warfare, famine, plague, pestilence, or because you just want to move, you want to build businesses, you even want to build an international family, you can do that anywhere on the planet. So that's what my work is entailing, and that's where we're going. In fact, we're going to start producing some higher grade videos, and we're also producing a podcast. I've got a podcast that's coming out in the summer. It's called the Polygamist Papers Podcast, or P3. And I'm going to have shirts, we're going to have merchandise. Y'all can get all that stuff. And I know I said it before, but I wasn't really in a position to get those things going. But now I've actually started a business. So working for myself has allowed me a lot of time of my own to regulate. And that way I can still put these ideas together in a proper format.
Wonderful, wonderful. I tell you what, Brother Hondo, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and jump right all into it, okay? I'll just wing a couple of series of questions right here.
Sure.
You can give us your perspective and point of view of what you see. So it's obvious that in the Hebrew community, and especially even outside of the community itself, in the Hebrew community, people are more or less centered and focused on what this has to say.
Right. And
of course, those who are real true students, those who are of the scriptures in itself, and they know exactly what it says. This is a 2-part question right here. Number one, I see more men coming forward and actually speaking about this subject, because this is one of those in this Western European Anglo-Saxon society. It's a taboo, even though people practice it and do it behind, undercover or behind the scenes. But I'm seeing a lot of sisters come out against it, and they really truly don't have what I consider to be the voice to actually speak to come out against it, because they simply don't understand comprehend culture because of jealousy and envy that is in him, which I continue to keep saying. I've said it once, I said it 1,000 times. It's a learned behavior. But Whereas I know exactly what that Bible says and can defend it very, very easily on this subject of multiple wives or biblical polygyny. You have the comprehension and understanding of culture all across this world. And you're coming from the perspective of what a culture is. So, can you speak to, number one, how men should actually be the ones speaking on this subject? And then number two, from a cultural perspective, a historical perspective of why biblical polygyny or polygyny in itself is actually a lawful lifestyle.
All right, so men have to ramp up the type of discussion we're having about polygamy, because they don't want they want to stay within this small parameter, like I said, of, can the wives live together? Then when people come in who have experience, and we try to guide that, they don't like it because they're still stuck here and their feelings, and well, everybody is different, and well, the fact is, all polygamous societies have common threads running through them that make those polygamous societies work. So we need to take that and we need to apply it. It's not even like, oh, well, we live here. No, just apply it. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. But they haven't done it, and they haven't seen it most of the time. They haven't seen it done properly. So we have, and we have experience being polygamous ourselves. So we're coming from those perspectives. So with men guiding the ship, when we discuss polygamy, we have to have it as a science. Like, that's why my work, I consider my work bringing polygamy into the forefront of the scholarly world as a science of its own, because it by default entails all facets of life sciences from A to Z. Men have to start to learn polygamy from a primary perspective. We discussed this previously. We said that men have to be honest.
Correct.
Men have to act like themselves. In other words, be natural. And you also have to have a plan. And women will pick up on this. You don't have to convince women of anything. Of course, we get men asking, how do you do that? Well, in order for you to lead, you have to have the right information. You have to repackage it so it's relevant. And then you have to present it and then stick with that. A lot of men are stopping at one of those processes. All right?
Gotcha.
So what women are doing now is, because women use their voice as sorcery, a good woman is not going to do that.
Right.
She speaks in order to build or maintain.
Now, you know what? I want to get, can you repeat that again about what a good woman does or when she speaks?
A good woman only speaks to build or maintain. That's it. That is really that simple. And female energy has to be guided in those two directions.
Correct.
That's it. Because once women get outside that, it becomes manipulation, which is a form of sorcery. So women use the voice because we know that with the human voice, men or women, when you speak, the sound waves actually begin to program your cells. That's why men, we even have to be careful about what we say to women, because women remember everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You remember 25 years ago, you hurt my feelings about this, and you like that. That's done and gone.
Exactly.
But they remembered it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But remember, women's feelings can even be manipulative. That's why, for instance, a friend of mine recently contacted me. He said that one of his consorts reached out to him, because he has multiple consorts. One of them reached out to him, and sent him, some emojis or something like that. And he felt it was manipulative. He was like, wait a minute. She was trying to coerce him into going in a certain direction with something that was going on. And he didn't like that. He said, look, if you got something to say it. But don't manipulate. See, so now what's happening is text messaging, emails, those are taking the place of the voice.
Yeah, all this indirect communication.
Yeah, it's all this indirect communication, a lot of game playing. So what's happening with polygamy, with the narrative of polygamy, what women are doing is speaking a high volume of words. And there's an article, and I'm actually going to include this as a source in the book. When women speak, if they speak more than so many words, the male brain actually shuts down. Like we literally can't hear them anymore.
Yeah.
That's why men say, look, stop all that talking.
I do that myself. It's just like an automatic. But also something that you said earlier, you mentioned something about historically, we know how powerful the voice of a woman is.
Yeah.
And how that they have actually been instrumental in tearing down kingdoms.
Yes.
By influencing
yes.
the king itself to do something that otherwise, if he was using his own mind and senses, he wouldn't even done.
They speak and then they use sex. Okay, and that's women who are out of control. That's women who are outside their feminine element. But when it comes to polygamy, women are the greatest propagandists.
Yeah.
You know, we just discussed a few minutes ago off camera. Like it's that's why when anything is trending, clothing, whether it's an event, you know, it can be a social institution like polygamy. When women start talking, if you ever hear something trending, just follow the breadcrumbs. You usually find that it's women who started that.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with women talking about polygamy. We don't even mind women putting information out there and even writing books. Some of the best books on polygamy right now are out by women. In fact, Dr. Dixon Spear, who I had the honor of meeting, sat with her, and I was like, man, you know, of course I was honored by that too, because Dr. Dixon Spear, who wrote We Want for Our Sisters What We Want for Ourselves.
Correct.
Great book, by the way, where she interviews people from various black religious communities in the United States. That's a great book.
And she actually traveled abroad and lived with these people. We're not talking about people who have not either engaged or have not even experienced this for themselves. We're talking about intelligent people, because I just got finished doing an interview with Dr. Gina Murray. In reference to this. And
Dr. Murray is great.
Exactly.
She's great. She's a scholar herself on the subject and has experience.
Very humble. Very humble. But I think what we're putting out here, we're right now I'm trying to communicate to people, it makes no difference whether you're here or forbear, that we have experience with this subject right here, or speaking with intelligent people, not people who are using the internet as a platform to communicate their rejection of something that is automatically a society that did not come from the East.
Right. And we have to stick to that. You know, these principles have worked for, you know, thousands of years. You know, if you're so inclined, you know, millions of years. You know, just where you're going. But, you know, young or old or whatever. But, you know, it's been here since humanity's dawn. So, you know, you going in and trying to speak against something that you don't, you know. And most people who talk about polygamy have no real research under their belt. They went and read some Wikipedia articles. They went and read The Onion, you know.
Or they heard all the negative stuff about the Mormons.
Right, they heard negative stuff about the Mormons. You know, they're watching, 2020 in primetime live in 48 hours. Okay, you have levels of information. You have primary, secondary, you have tertiary, you have quaternary, you have quintenary, you have centenary.
Now you don't lost me.
It's one through, you know, it's 1 through 6. You know, you just keep going up these levels. So every level that you go to, you're diluting the information more and you're losing ground.
Exactly.
So the most information you want to get is tertiary information, because sometimes, like for instance, we were speaking with our brother Richard Fleerman, who also has some YouTube videos. Y'all check him out. Brother Fleerman just told me about something his wife's mother said to him about her experience. Her experience is primary, telling he and his wife, secondary, telling me is tertiary. So obviously, if I go to her and ask her, he's telling the truth, but there's going to be more detail that I get, and therefore my study of that particular subject at that time and from her perspective is stronger.
Very good.
I just want to add a little more to what you asked me about the women.
Go ahead.
Propagandists. With polygamy, when women begin talking about polygamy, they're propagandizing either in the negative or in the positive. Those women who see it in a positive light, just listen to them. They really understand human nature. They really understand the nature of men. That it's unnatural for us, especially when we're businessmen, to just be with one woman, especially when we want to build a family business. It's very difficult building a family business and maintaining that when you got you, your wife, and a son. That's it. How about you go get 8 wives and have 32 children, and now look, your business is expanded. I know of a brother, Elder Elam, out of Pontiac, Michigan. Now, Elder Elam is probably 90 years old now, but I sat with Elder Elam, and he's very well known in Southeast Michigan. Okay, as a very wise man, and he's had the same church for I think 70 years or so. Well, anyway, had the same wife. They produced 17 children, then 2 that he adopted. They all have businesses over there in Southeast Michigan. In fact, they're well known. They're very well known. They have a real estate company. They got Elam's Fish and Poultry. Y'all check it out on Woburn. I know I'm putting it like a shameless plug for the brother, but he's a good brother. Cater their business. People will come out from Detroit all the way and drive 45 minutes to an hour just to go get their food. So them having all these businesses, think just any man with that many children from one woman. Think how many children you could have if you had 5 wives.
And the economic advantage.
And the economic advantage. See? So
which I hate to cut you off, but we're strapped for time, but I really have to get this question in here because it's in line with what you're saying.
Sure.
My personal belief is that the system of forced monogamy or forced monogamy is an economic disadvantage for us as a people. As a matter of fact, I see it as I'm going to use this word, a castration and a literal genocide in order to keep us at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak.
Yeah.
What say you?
It is. When you look at the history, see, there's a reason behind the belief in prescriptive monogamy.
Let's hear it.
There's monogamy and there's prescriptive monogamy.
Exactly. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Prescriptive monogamy is the social coercion or even the military coercion of a people into monogamy. All right. So prescriptive monogamy was actually created by certain European powers who invaded different lands. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just white people or European." It's not all European.
Exactly.
Because all of Europe, which is actually Western Asia, there's no continent called Europe. It's actually Western Asia. You only have so many continents. It's not 7 continents. But nevertheless,
Asia Minor.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. But nevertheless, you have the Dutch. I'm gonna name them: the Dutch, the Spanish, the English. To a certain extent, the Germans, who, by the way, actually had their own system of polygamy, the Franks and the Gauls of Germany.
Exactly.
They were polygamous. And even the Irish. The Irish had a long history of polygamy. They had a set of law codes called the Brecon Laws, Brehon. The Brecon Laws actually stated some things about polygamy and codified polygamy. The king at that time codified polygamy, so the Irish were practicing. But you had the Dutch, Germans to a very small extent, the English, the Spanish, and the Portuguese. When they invaded these lands around the earth, they immediately killed off some of the men, women, and children. They kept the women as concubines because it was an invasion. And these women are gorgeous. You go in, you killed off these women's husbands. They're just left there. So you gonna have at it because your wife is probably back in your home country. You see what I'm saying? So you're getting this invasion going on. In order to keep the invasion going and the occupation strong, you have to change the marriage customs. So you either take marriage away from them and don't allow them to marry. You will also take the women and create a mixed economy. Now those children have an economic advantage toward the father. In this case, he is the invader.
Exactly.
See, now the other men, the indigenous men, are seen as a problem.
That's kind of like pretty much what happened here in America.
And they take out polygamy. You can't, because you're going to multiply. You're going to multiply. In fact, I'm going to go into the Rabbi Gershom edict.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of Jews...
Let's hear this.
See, this gets me amped. Now, I'm Jewish by bloodline as well. Like, I actually through my mom's side, right? And I looked into this. The Ashkenazi Jews are the only ones pushing strict monogamy among Jews. They say, well, Rabbi Gershom, he banned polygamy. First of all, no rabbi in Jewish culture has the halakhic power to ban something which is already previously regulated in Torah. They actually don't have that power, and especially don't have that power under rabbinic law, under Torah guidelines, to make an edict for all Jews everywhere. they don't have that power. And see, a lot of people they assume when they have this discussion that the people they're talking to don't understand rabbinic law.
Correct.
I understand rabbinic law. Okay, I trained in some aspects of rabbinic law. Now, when Rabbi Gershom issued an edict, it was not so much an edict. What it is, he wrote a letter of concern to German and French Jews. He was not writing to all Jews. In fact, Sephardi Jews to this day, you go to Morocco, we still practicing polygamy in Morocco. We still practicing, in Northeast Africa. We're still practicing that among the Sephardi, among the Mizrahi Jews, among the Yemenite Jews, among the Ethiopic Hebrews, or even among the Zulus in Southern Africa. You have some of us who are living among the people in Southern Africa.
And to confirm what you say, the Ashkenazi is calling these Sephardic Jews Cushing, meaning nigger.
Yep.
And of course that Negro just meaning a person of dark skin.
That's right.
Of dark skin. But
That's
go
right.
ahead.
That's right. So actually, Judaism has this long history of polygamy, and even among some Ashkenazi Jews in New York City, they're trying to, some of them actually are still.
I know they're doing it. Oh, yes, sir.
Yep. Because they see the substance in it. So what they're doing, because Ashkenazi Jews generally are the Jews who are viewed when you say someone is Jewish, they see like a white German or Russian person.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a minute, ethnically Jews are not Jews are not Russian. So
exactly.
They were converts.
Right.
And that's okay because Judaism, when you convert, you're a real Jew. Nobody discounts
700 AD.
But for them to flip that around and then to take away one of our major manners and customs, which is not only pressing marriage, but pressing monogamous and polygamous marriage, there's a problem. So they keep pushing that out there. And when you push a narrative so much, it creates an image. Rabbi Gershom banned polygamy. If he was so important as a rabbi and other rabbis, I'm going to have all these sources documented in the Family Crest in my next book. Hundreds of rabbis before and after him have said that they support polygamy. So how come they're not being heeded? How come when he came along that his word is bond
because
and everybody else isn't?
It's a system of war. It's a system of genocide. It's just like when the invaders or the occupiers came over here from Europe over here to this land that's commonly called America. The first thing they did was literally decimated and all but destroyed the indigenous population.
Who are also polygamous.
Exactly. And the reason why they did that is because if you left the culture intact, then that culture will always be at war.
And it'll regenerate. See, culture regenerates through marriage. And that's why people need to stop saying, well, I ain't getting married. Now, I get it. Some people don't, they rather household or lead a bunch of women, in concubines. And that's okay too. But because that's still polygamy technically. But we still have to household. Okay? That's the only way your culture regenerates is through marriage. All this talk among different people about we need to get together and build businesses. Okay, well, I don't want to just hire random people.
You got that right.
Because they don't have a vested interest in my economy. The people who have a vested interest in my economy and keeping it going through the next 7 generations, that would be my family.
I'm going to say something right here, okay? Because it's just a fact. We see it right out in front of us. I tell people over and over again, regardless of how that they want to say it with their mouth words or how many synonyms they want to put with it. But the truth is, the president of the United States of America right now, Donald Trump, is a polygynist. He's a polygamist because he's been, I call it serial polygamy. Divorce, remarriage, divorce, remarriage, divorce, remarriage. But if you look, he has his wife now, the model. He has had 2 other wives, but he has had children by each one of these wives. Now watch and see what he's doing. Right now, he turned over his companies to who? These children.
Yes.
Are you following me?
He doesn't even have the time to manage those companies anymore.
Not now. Exactly.
He doesn't have time.
Now he still gets to maintain control of his empire that has been built, but it stays in the family. And this is what I'm trying to drive home more than anything, is that this system that has dealt with us wisely, they don't want us to do the same thing.
Right. And we've been screaming about this for years. When people say we're pimps, we're not selling our women off to the highest and even the lowest bidder.
Exactly.
Okay, for sex. We're not doing it. That's what pimping is. So stop saying that we're pimps. Okay. That just doesn't make sense. People clearly don't understand what pimping is.
They don't understand the etymology of words.
Right. You know, so we're not pimps. I mean, everything we're discussing is business. It's about legacy. As soon as men start discussing legacy in the West, that's when people start to get a little afraid. Even other men. Even other men, because now they're saying, oh, we want to control women, blah, blah. I'm like, well, first of all, even in monogamy, on some level, you're controlling your woman. I mean, if you're a masculine man, well, my woman doesn't need to be controlled. Just watch. Those are always the men. If you watch the women are all over the place, showing the body all over the place. The guys who end up getting, the women end up becoming harlots, and trollops, I guess you want to say some old school words. But I've observed those types of men. But even in monogamy, there's an element of control when it comes to women. And women, at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of these feminists, like womanists who are black feminists. I've seen a lot of these women who feel liberated and independent. They have folded under pressure, under economic pressure. And the first thing they do is get to the nearest strong man. That's the first thing they do. Even if it's the police. The police have at least a veneer of strength. I mean, we can argue the case that it's not. Yeah. But they at least have a veneer, an image of strength. Right,
because they have the backing of the state behind them. But people, in other words, women recognize authority.
Yes, that is a great way to put it. They recognize authority, especially when it's in front of them, because women are very environmental. That's why you have to be careful with what women watch and what they do, because they're controlled through color, light, sound, things like that. That's why commercials, the vast majority of commercials are geared toward women. Even when, say, it's an Axe body spray commercial for men, or it's an Old Spice commercial for men, the reason we're wearing these items is to attract women. See, so it keeps spinning back around to that propaganda I told you about, which is us attracting a woman.
And in no way, shape, fashion, or form are we trying to diminish a woman, because a woman is very important. Right. It's just that everything has just been turned so upside down. Right. To instead of we being a patriarchal society, we are a matriarchal society. And being a matriarchal society and stuff, we're watching the effeminization. We're watching the estrogen dominance coming out in men. And I'm using these because I want to bring forth. I want to poke in the eyes of people to see clearly, those who desire to see clearly, exactly what's happening right up under us. Because when you look at, bottom line, we're going to end up, whether people like it or not, back into a pretty much male-dominant polygynous culture anyway. Because with all the wars that's going on, with the advent of these alternative lifestyles that are taking more men from women, with diseases and drug use and incarceration, and I mean, it's just getting bad. It's getting real bad that you're not going to have, and this is why I usually say, too many good men with good women, because they're just simply not going to be there. So what's going to have to happen is that a good woman is going to have to saddle up, or maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 with a good man. And then if those who want to rebel against Yah's system, pretty much, then you're going to have the bad with the bad, the good with the good. What say you?
Well, I agree. War brings patriarchy into an otherwise non or anti-patriarchal society. It does it automatically. See, when we're talking about the control of women, how women are controlled, right? It can be used for good or bad. Correct. But we're just speaking of how they're controlled from the outside economies. Exactly. When they engage in economic warfare, these nations engage in economic warfare. The first people they go to control are the women. See, they're no longer just coming in to slaughter men. They're incarcerating men because those men still create some type of tax bracket for people who own the prisons. Right. See, so now it's no longer just the state just owns the prison. Now it's Colgate, Palmolive. These other families. Yeah, that own prisons.
Still on the plantation.
So and we're still talking about families. And we're still talking about families. You're working for someone else's family. When you go to a 9-to-5 job, you're working for someone else's family. You're making them rich.
The Waltons.
The Waltons. The Waltons. In fact, they went in and destroyed smaller mom and pop shops.
Sure did.
In these different towns. I see it whenever I'm traveling on the road. I say, like, why is this Walmart in the middle of nowhere? I mean, it's just like, and the towns, many of these towns have expanded, even been built around a Walmart.
Around Walmart. You'll see it up here. You'll see it up here when we go out.
That'll be the first thing they build, and you won't see anybody else for 10 miles. And then they start building these town. Oh, they have a Walmart.
Yeah, right around Walmart.
It starts to hypnotize who? The women. Because men don't care about Walmart.
Nope.
You know, men are gonna. If we want a T-shirt, we'll build a T-shirt if we got to. Because we're men. You know, we're gonna do that. But you know, our women are there to. You know, women are about sights and sounds. Like, oh, there's a Walmart. Let me go get that for the family because you know they don't have to go way out. You know, so they do this for women. Mm-hmm. So the Walton family is right now dominating that retail sphere. The big box store. They're dominating that. So, you know, going back to patriarchy, though, I was a golf caddy for 25 years. And, I mean, I'm caddying for some people you've heard of. I know you and other people have heard of. These men are multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires. And many of them would, during that 4 to 5 hour round, they would pull me aside. And they would actually teach me things
give you
about
a lot of
finance.
Information.
They would teach me things about marriage. They would teach me things about taxes. They would teach me things about leasing and not leasing and entrepreneurship. I learned. See, a lot of the things that I've been saying to y'all over the years came from people who got billions, who got millions, and y'all are like, "Oh, he don't know what you're talking about." They'll say, "Well, that's just your opinion." I'm like, no. If you are not on that level, and those men are building families, I'm going to share a couple stories with you about that because this is right along the lines of what you're saying. I would meet some of their sons. Mm-hmm. Their sons would be anywhere between like 7 and say 25. Mm-hmm. When these men were young, they would look me dead in the eyes. Hey, Hondo, how you doing? Firm handshake. Mm-hmm. The bearing of their sons was different than the average male. Mm-hmm. The average 7, 8-year-old son, the average 12-year-old. They had purpose already at that age.
Exactly.
When you would see other golfers in the group, we would be on the driving range, right? We'd be on the practice range before the round. And I would sit and watch. I mean, this is over 25 years. Saw it all the time. They said, well, Tommy, you know, now he's only like 12. They're like, so are you going to go to Clemson like your dad? It's like, that's 6 years away.
Exactly.
Who else is talking like that 6 years out? What college you going to?
Exactly.
So you're going to go to Clemson? Yeah, well, you know, I'm about to go to, you know, let's just name a private school, Marion. Like there's a high school in Michigan called Marion that I used to drive by. Yeah, you know, I'm about to start at Marion next year, and you know, after that, you know, I want to go into business. Mm-hmm. Most of these men, 95 to 99% of these boys, when they go into college, and I'm telling you what I heard and saw, they go into business. You go into business. When you go to college, forget all that. I'm going to go into fine arts, unless you're a painter, unless you're already an illustrator, unless, you know, that's fine. But you don't even need that to make a living. I know a brother's been doing 35 years, and he's known the world over, right? Off the chain. That's Brother Machindo. I'm going to put a plug in for Brother Machindo, I2. He did the cover, when you look at my YouTube page, that main illustration.
Yeah.
Brother Machindo did that. Brother Machindo's been in the game a long time. Nevertheless, I would listen to these conversations. You would hear middle-aged European males asking a 10-year-old child about what he's going to do in college.
Already focusing in their attention and their drive.
Right.
Exactly. Because
he's going to follow after his dad.
Exactly, because their mindset and what's being sold into them is totally different than what the culture is putting into them or what the TV. I often call it a one-eyed monster.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Has placed into people because information is being assimilated. It's being disseminated across this TV. Most time people are in the receive mode. And, you know, going one way through the propaganda, the news media, and everything. And so you can't soak yourself. You can't immerse yourself around negativity and stuff that's not going to advance us as a people.
Right.
And I'm talking about any people as a people. When you have a system that is already put into place that want you and your labor and your time and your energy in order to advance it. And what we're speaking about is how to advance yourself in this life while you're here, and so you can leave a legacy back behind for your family.
And the root of legacy is time management. You know, you have to be able to manage your own time. And again, it goes back to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What are you doing for yourself and your family according to how you want to play the game? That's important. Back to when I was caddying, because this is tied into what we're saying here too. I actually caddied for a member of one of the elite families, the world's elite families. I caddy for him. I spoke with him about polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
I said to him, because I wanted to see what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know, elite families. I was like, the world's richest families. The men always have other women,
Mm-hmm.
and they send their children away, and they finance the women.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me. He said, "Yeah, that's true."
Isn't that something?
This is a member of one of the world's elite families I was caddying for, and he said it. In fact, he ended up asking me about my book when I saw him again a second time. He said, "Hondo, how you doing?" He said, "How was the publishing business going?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, it's good." He said, my book's still doing very well." He said, "Good." He said, "That's interesting." He said, "I'm fascinated." See, so I'm gonna tell y'all. So there's a book called Titan. It's a biography of the original John Rockefeller, and in that book, there's an excerpt where John Rockefeller actually believed he slept with his maid, his housekeeper, and he ended up moving her into the house because I think she lived outside the house. Ended up moving her into the house with his wife. See, so the members of elite families, they have women. What they do, they will, they'll sire the child, and because they don't, they have a public wife already. I spoke about this. I spoke about the public wife in the Polygamous Papers. I'm going to break down the public wife, though, and her role in the next book, in chapter 2. They'll sire a child with these different women, and they will send the woman away somewhere, so that way, if she gets nutty, she can't interrupt the family. Because you don't need that, because this is the political sphere of the family life. This is one of the 12 spheres of influence I've been talking about and intimating. Once he sends her away, he'll make sure the child is financed. So the child is going to private schools, doesn't know his father, or the woman will actually marry while the child is young, and the child thinks that's their father. Until later on, they find out not. I'm telling y'all, this happens.
And we're talking about it in the sphere of influence where money is.
Right.
People have money. So I'll tell you what, Brother Hondo, has been real. I know you got to get ready. Matter of fact, you got to get ready to go because you got to hit the road. You got to hit the road. Man, it's been an honor.
I appreciate it, sir.
Honor having you here. I'm going to put this out on YouTube. Right. You take this video, if you can, from this channel and upload it to yours.
Of course.
All right, upload to yours. And, of course, here is the talk that we did earlier.
All right.
It's right there. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to go out here and get this vehicle, and I'm going to drive you around the land real quick rather than just, we may stop one place or two, but I'm going to just drive you around the land so you can see what we've been doing.
Right.
And so that way you can actually go out and tell our story. So, because you have an eyewitness account and see what I'm trying to, I really wish that people had the humility enough to be taught. You understand what I mean? Enough to be taught, because I personally believe that community is the way to go. And the reason being is because you get to shape your own environment. You get to know who your neighbor is, and everybody, the resources and stuff. Of course, I get it all from here. You know what I mean? The Bible. Right. And of course, and economically, you can end up building a powerhouse, and not only that, but something left behind for the generation to come.
Yes, indeed.
That's the whole idea. Yeah. So, my brother, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate that.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, with that said, we bid you shalom and peace. We hope you enjoyed it. And believe me, we're not here to demean the character of women or men or anyone whatsoever at all. What we're trying to do is educate. We're trying to educate because most people, they are staying wrapped up in their emotions, wrapped up in their feelings, and responding to things without knowledge and without experience. YouTube is replete. Every time you turn around, because it's obvious that there's a spirit that's trying to fight against biblical marriage, multiple wives, or polygyny, commonly called polygamy, and it's mostly done by women. Women always, and for some reason, I don't understand what this territorialism is, but I think they have a love affair with bondage. I don't know, just my own personal take on that. But it's been an honor to have Brother Hondo staying with us in the home here on Straitway. With that, we bid you all shalom.
Shalom.